friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie, yo, 660s. That in that neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, the man that we're about to check out today, we usually check out on every Wednesday, but he put his newest video out a day early, and we're about to check it out. And that man that I'm talking about is Mike from That Chapter. That Chapter on a Tuesday, Bean Team. And I'm glad that Mike put his video out a day early, you know what I'm saying? And he said he did that because of the holidays. And speaking of the holidays, the reason that I say I'm glad that he put it out a day early, because on Wednesday, on Christmas, I am going to be uploading a reaction to maybe 3 or 4 or 5 Christmas horror short films, Bean Team. So y'all make sure that y'all be on the lookout for that. But I digress. The title of the video is Sick Doctor Realizes Police Discovered His Horrifying Secret. Now, it's so crazy, y'all, because we have heard of and seen many cases of how doctors could be telling you that they're giving you something or injecting you with something, saying that it's going to heal you, but it's really going to freaking kill you. You know what I'm saying, man? It's just wild to even think about that somebody could do that to you, especially a freaking doctor. But I don't know. But I'm ready to get into it. But before we get into it, Bean Team, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you might need. Get what you need, please. We back to That Chapter on a Tuesday. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, we are gonna take a look at a plot that truly is like stranger than fiction, almost hilariously so, if there wasn't, it's like a flesh-eating poison in it. This is one of those stories where, if it was written in a book, you'd hand it back, saying it was full of shite. And in Newcastle, England, someone most certainly was. And he sort of injected it into another person. It's a whole thing, but before we get into it, please subscribe to see new videos every single week. Now, let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go. And get whatever you may need.
Newcastle, England is the setting for today's story. A city of, over a little more than 300,000 people. And the setting for, now that I think about it, I think it's the setting for like a few past chapters that we talked about. It's a city which speaks for itself in a Geordie accent. And it's where one Thomas Kwan visited one day in late January 2024. He was visiting a house on St. Thomas Street, a house where his mother, Jenny Lung, lived there with her partner, a man named Patrick O'Hara. No relation. He was visiting that January 22nd to perform a routine health check. See, young Thomas Kwan, he was a doctor, if you can believe that, and so he was there, giving them, checking out their blood pressure, giving them a once-over, and he was also there to give him an COVID booster jab. He was in his mother and, her partner's house for approximately 40 minutes, yapping away about this and that, sure, you know yourself, and then gives Patrick the injection, and then he's right. I'm off. Gotta hit the bricks. Almost immediately, however, after Patrick was injected, he was in a absolute metric shit ton of pain. The area around the injection site was all like blistered, inflamed. See, the thing was, although it was Thomas that day who visited his mother and her partner Pat, they didn't know it was Thomas. He was in disguise, quite possibly one of the funniest disguises we've ever seen, and you can bet your ass that was not no booster vaccine injection he was getting. It was pure poison. How about we...
Time out, Bean Team. I swear I remember seeing this man's face before. Like, this story sounds familiar, but I have no idea who channel we watched it from. It could have been the Coffee Man. It could have been the Lazy Man. It could have been Mr. Ball and Tragedy Tales. Evil... No, I don't think it was Evil Intentions. Could have been Nick Crowley. I don't know, Bean Team. Long story short, story long. But I feel like it could have been Dial Trip too. But I feel like we ain't heard this story in a long time. Like, I feel like it was a long time ago when I heard this story. You know what I'm saying? So it's still like gonna be brand new to me. And then of course getting the narration from Mike is always great. So let's just give it a go. But I will say also that it's crazy that this dude like whatever poison or whatever he done stuck this man with that's supposed to been a COVID booster, it's crazy that the effects happened so freaking quick. Like, dude, like, you guilty. You know what I'm saying? You the one who did this to him. Ain't like this effect happened days later or something. Then he started getting sick or something. No, whatever the freak you just put up in him already got hit the area where he got shot up at, blistering and all that crazy ish. It's like you almost telling on yourself. I digress. Let's go.
Get to the who, what, why, and the rest of them. In 2024, Thomas Kwan was 53 years of age, but he wasn't always so, if you can imagine. Thomas was born in Hong Kong to his mom, Jenny, and his father. However, at a mere 13 years of age, he left the place to attend a boarding school in England, and he would later study medicine in Newcastle itself, his family later following him over. But Thomas would be quite lonely and a little estranged from his parents and siblings. Thomas would go on and become very successful. He had a nice house in Sunderland where he worked as a GP, he was married, had a kid. So, like, within the family he created, nothing better, but within the family he was born into, could be a lot better. Nothing worse. See, Thomas always had a very difficult relationship with his mom, Jenny. He always felt that she never gave him enough, or as much affection and love as a mother as she did to his own siblings. Thomas's relationship with his mother was something which only got worse when, what a play. She was married, obviously, to Thomas's dad. What she did was she withdrew £1 million from her and her husband's joint bank account. It's a lot of money. And then what she did, she forced him to divorce her. Then, not long after, the father, her husband, passes away. And he leaves not much of an inheritance because Jenny took all the money. Thomas had been excited for that money and was not too keen on that. And then guess what? He was even less keen when what little his father did have when he passed, the majority of that went to Thomas's younger brother. Now, I believe in Chinese culture, this is what the research said, is that when the parent dies, rather than, the inheritance being distributed equally, as you find in a lot of places, in China and places like that, the eldest son, they get most of it, and then it kind of rolls downhill from there. So Thomas very much felt like he got fucked. So Thomas, fuming that not only did he not get what he had expected because his mother took it all, it's also like was seen as almost like disrespectful that his younger brother got more than he did. His younger brother, who hadn't been sent away for boarding school, who had spent more time with his parents, who had gotten more love and affection from their mother. Well, that just won't do. It's strange. Thomas became a very successful doctor, should be making pounds for days. And he was. But he was still described as greedy. And it's almost like the money was symbolic of his rage against his own family for excluding him, sending him away, and showing preferential treatment to his siblings they kept around. In a letter Thomas sent to his mother in January 2022, he was accusing her of, stealing money from him, stealing money from the family, stealing his inheritance, the $1 million she withdrew from the joint bank account, so that when his dad died, didn't have an arse in his trousers. By this stage, Jenny was living in Newcastle with her new partner of many years, Patrick O'Hara. You say I am selfish or greedy, but I would like you to make me the sole executor of your will, as well as giving me the most and largest portion of the properties and inheritance. As you have told me many times, I'm the one you love the most out of all children. See, in her will, and Jenny getting a little bit on in years now, Thomas, her oldest son, was 53. But in her will, Jenny was going to leave the house in Newcastle where she lived to her partner, Patrick. Now, the house wasn't going to be Patrick's. It's not like he was going to get it, but he was going to basically have the rights to live in it for as long as he lived. And Patrick was like in his 60s, late 60s at this point. There's that French woman. She lived to be 122. Who knows how long Patrick could keep going for. So Thomas, feeling like he was screwed out of his dad's inheritance, he was going to make sure he got every single dime out of his mom's. He was licking his chops at the prospect of her kicking the bucket. And then in November 2022, he barged into that house in Newcastle, pushed past Patrick and began accusing his mom, demanding money now, give me money, to the extent the police were actually called. And that was kind of like the final nail in the coffin between Thomas and his mom, Jennifer. After this event, they never really spoke again. They didn't really have any kind of communications, or it was kept to an absolute minimum. Now, what Thomas thought of Patrick? Probably not much. He just saw him as one more wall between himself and all those De Niros, all that cheddar cheese he was dying to get. Or at least.
And it's so freaking disgusting, y'all. The cheddar cheese, man. That's the most disgusting part of this story, is the fact that all he care about is getting money from his daddy. He mad that he didn't get the $1 million. Now he willing to, at this point, almost kill his mama for this freaking money. At least he waiting on his mama to die. He probably was waking up every day I hope my mama dead today so I can get these millions of dollars and these different properties and stuff. You know what I'm saying, man? It's crazy how people will value money over life. And this is your mama and freaking daddy. And it's crazy too, y'all, because like I said, I don't remember where we watched it from, but I do remember that part about how he showed up at the house disguised as someone else, like Mike talked about, and I'm pretty sure he finna get into more detail about. Let's go.
At least he was going to make sure somebody else was dying so he could get that money. See, little did Jenny know that her beautiful little baby boy, he had given her a laptop all the way back in 2020. Given his mom a laptop. What a great son. But Jenny didn't know that Thomas, giving his mom this laptop, had installed spyware, so he could basically monitor all of their financial transactions, and he was. And he'd also given himself access to the webcam. So he was literally spying on his mom and her partner. Some man for one man.
Crazy.
And so Thomas began planning, setting it in motion 1 year after he pushed into his mom's house demanding he inherit her shit. That was November 2023. Early in that month, Patrick O'Hara received a letter from a group called the Community Associated Nursing Team, a local group looking out for the L fellas in the area, an NHS, National Health Service, the British healthcare body, initiative. This letter was from a Raj Patel, and it stated that, Patrick, my man, it's time for a community home visit. I, Mr. Patel, will pop over, to your house. I'll tell you when, check out your vitals, check your blood pressure, check you're all, good to go. Give you some, seasonal booster jabs, seasonal vaccinations, a COVID booster. Just make sure you're good to go. And, Patrick got this letter. Happy days, for an elf fella, you don't have to be going to the doctor all the time. Yeah, pop over, give me all this stuff. That's amazing. A little while later, then Patrick got a second letter, basically confirming the first letter. And then a couple of months later, in early January 2024, Patrick got a third letter. This time was confirming the time and the date of this, when the doctor would pop over and do all these bits and yada, yada, yada. It was dated for January 22nd, a Monday, between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. The letter looked legit. Was it? It was shit. Neither the Community Associated Nursing Team nor Raj Patel existed. In the meantime, Thomas checked into a Premier Inn in Newcastle for the night on Sunday, January 21st. He'd been there a week earlier with his wife and found it suitable to begin enacting his revenge. He did not book it under his own name, as you can imagine, nor his own address. So Thomas checks into the hotel the night before Patrick's appointment, and then sends Patrick a text from a burner phone. Don't forget tomorrow morning, Raj Patel's got something for you. Look forward to it. The next morning, after having a nice, lovely breakfast, Thomas, he's thinking to himself, right? I am going to my mom and her partner's house, but they can't know it's me. He goes through the extreme lengths, the cosmetics, out of this world, of getting the world's shittiest beard, mustache, and wig. He also used makeup to make his skin darker, then took this selfie to create an ID he would have for Raj Patel. Incredible stuff. Jeez, you never know it was him. He then left the hotel, walked to St. Thomas Street, where his mom and Patrick lived, knocked on the door, says, "How are you? I'm Raj Patel." Although he probably didn't sound like that because he also knew they'll recognize my voice. So he spoke English, like broken English, to them, did like some really shitty accent. Patrick opens the door. "Come on in. Let's do this thing." He took Patrick's blood pressure, had him do like a healthcare questionnaire. Jennifer, his mom, even comes in. He takes her blood pressure. They do not realize it is Thomas. He would be in there for 40 minutes, yapping away in their faces, taking their blood pressure, giving them injections, and all the while they're like, yeah, classic Raj. It was...
Man, I just gotta point out, and I think I said it when I first reacted to whoever channel it was. I still can't remember. Bean Team let me know who this channel, who told this story before. But it's just the fact that, man, I'm not even talking about Patrick. Let's not even talk about Patrick. Let's just talk about his mama. His freaking mama did not realize that that was him. Like I said, man, I don't care what kind of disguise I put on, especially a shitty ass disguise like he had on. My mama would know that's me from goddamn across the street. You know what I'm saying, man? But maybe she didn't know because she older in age. Maybe that's why. But more than not, 9 times out of 10, 9.99999% out of 100, a parent, especially a mother, gonna know when her child is in her face, especially for over 40 freaking minutes, man. But also, I just want to point out real quick, too, it's just so freaking crazy how this man premeditated this. Like, this is so premeditated and so planned out and thought out. And even though he think he was smart while he was doing it, boy, you still look like a dumbass to me. Just long story short, story long. Like, you thinking putting on this crazy disguise is gonna freaking help you get away with this. You think coming up with these imaginary letters from these imaginary doctors is gonna help you get away with this? Did you realize that the whole time while you're walking around in the hotel, your ass on camera, did you think about that part? You know what I'm saying? They got all this footage of this man right before he went and did this ish. Then you already got a history of trying to get this freaking money from your mama. It's just crazy how smart he thought he was, but how dumb he actually is. You know what I'm saying? Let's go, y'all. Let's freaking go.
Then he administered a booster shot to Patrick. Patrick was there, yep, injecting me, shooting the shit like as usual, but he would say that upon receiving this injection, he was like straight up, as soon as it like entered him, he was in immense, severe pain, stinging pain from where he'd received this jab. He says to Raj, "What's the crack? What's this about?" Raj says, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just the usual COVID. Whatchamacallit. You're probably experiencing some allergic reaction to the injection. You'll walk it off. You'll be fine." And then, like, Raj very quickly starts kind of like putting his stuff away. Like, he was happy, calm, collected, chilling around the place. And then as soon as he injected Patrick, he's like, "Well, gotta go. Oh, look at the time." Making a hasty exit, stage left. But as Raj was walking out the door, his mom, Jenny, just so happens to come down the stairs, which were in the hall. Raj walks by her, and then Jenny says, "You know what? You're the same height as my son." Isn't that weird? Patrick, in the meantime, back in the living room, is looking at his arm and thinking, wow, this looks like Chernobyl. He's thinking, oh balls, something is not right here. His gears are grinding at this point, and he's thinking to himself, something is not right. He runs out of the house after Raj, but by this stage, Raj is gone. It's like the end of The Usual Suspects. The disguise is thrown away, gone with the wind. Patrick was now left with flesh-eating bacteria in his arm and would soon pass away if he didn't, immediately go to the hospital. And he went to the hospital, the emergency room, saying, "This isn't normal." The staff at the hospital say, "I think you're just probably having some kind of allergic reaction. Here's some antibiotics, you'll be fine. Have a cup of tea, you'll be grand." Then 2 days later, he goes back again. By this stage, Patrick was in immense pain. Some of the flesh on his arm had started dying. He was diagnosed with necrotizing fasciitis, and he had to have pieces of his arm removed. He would survive after numerous rounds of surgery, but was scarred for a life. His partner's son had injected him with some kind of mystery substance and his arm had nearly rotted off. The doctors were absolutely baffled by what this was, but it wouldn't be until Thomas was actually tracked down that they would get an answer to that. When Patrick was admitted, he showed the hospital staff the letters he had been sent. Almost immediately, the staff called bullshit on those letters. They were not legit NHS letters. The police were informed, and tracking Raj via CCTV in Newcastle, they were able, in fact, to follow him to his very home in Sunderland. On February 5th, 2024, 2 weeks after he tried to murder Patrick, he was arrested.
Hello there. Sorry at this time in the morning. Is it Dr. Kwan? Yes. Dr. Kwan, hello. From Northumberland Police. Do you mind if we come in for a second, please? Yes. Thank you.
And at this point, he should already know the gig is up. If the police just randomly show up to your house, bro, and you know what the freak you just did, however long ago it was, you know why they showing up. Go on, put your hands behind your back.
Okay, are you happy to talk in here? Yeah. So, you might as well just stay standing for us if you don't mind, please. The time is now 06:30 hours, okay? I'm arresting you for the offence of the suspicion of the attempted murder and administering a poison or noxious substance contrary to Section 23 of the Offences Against the Persons Act 1861. Now, both of those offences occurred in Newcastle upon Tyne on Monday the 22nd of January 2024, okay? So you don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention one question, something which you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given as evidence. So again, you're now under arrest on suspicion of those offences, okay? Do you understand that?
A search of his home revealed the extent of his plan and his obsession with poison. He had been thorough in his research. The police found liquid mercury, thallium, sulfuric acid, arsenic. Thomas had even made ricin, which I only know about ricin from Breaking Bad. But all I know is it's not something you want to stir into your coffee, which is what happens in Breaking Bad. He wanted these substances to such an extent, he created a shell company to purchase them. He had a library of various poisons. In fact, the booster jab wasn't the only thing he considered. He had written documents planning on lacing Patrick's drink and food with poison, but decided, ultimately, on killing in plain sight.
And it's also so crazy. He's so freaking dumb, man. Like I said, y'all, for as smart he tried to be with this murder plan that he was trying to do or whatever, he was so freaking dumb to the point where, bro, why you still got all this evidence, all these different poisons, even documents of other ways that you wanted to poison Patrick? Why you still got all this stuff in your damn house? Shouldn't you get rid of all of that after you do what you did? You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad he was dumb so he would get caught. I'm glad he was that freaking stupid. He was stupid to do this whole thing from the beginning anyway. Just the fact that he was trying to be a freaking murderer. Just the fact that he attempted to murder Patrick was stupid. Let's go.
It seems that Thomas injected Patrick with iodomethane, a colorless liquid mainly used as a pesticide. But of course, in high doses, it's extremely toxic. Patrick was lucky to escape with his life. They found iodomethane in Thomas's home, in syringes, along with videos showing, well, yeah, how to make it. The plan? Murder your mom's partner so all the inheritance goes to you, and then probably she would soon be next with another random COVID jab. It was a revenge and greed. Pure and simple. And a damn near good of work too. If it wasn't probably one of the stupidest plots I've ever covered. Top 3, at least.
Stupid.
You know, all I can think about during this story is the kinda similar case of Xiuming Li out of Tampa, Florida. Umar Abdullah lived in an apartment building there with his family, and neighbor, Xiuming Li, had been making noise complaints about him and his family, they had a couple of months old baby, non-stop. According to Umar, it was ridiculous. Xiuming was complaining about vacuum cleaners, toilet seats closing, doors being shut, and they did their best to quieten down, but not enough for Mr. Lee, it appears. Then, in May of 2023, Umar and his family, they noticed a weird chemical smell inside their apartment. And over the next few days, it got so bad that himself and his family began experiencing breathing difficulties, hair loss, headaches, and burning eyes. It even made their couple of months old daughter vomit. It got so bad that Umar hid a camera outside his front door to try and identify what the source of this noxious odor actually was.
Now, I know y'all remember this one, Bean Team. I remember this one. This one came from freaking the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ballin'. And it was crazy, too. And it is kind of similar. These stories are most definitely similar.
See, Zhuming Lee was enrolled in a PhD program at the University of South Florida. The subject? Chemistry, of course, so it was pretty horrifying to see Zhuming Lee on 2 separate occasions using a syringe to inject some mysterious substance under Umar's apartment door. I guess he felt his noise complaints weren't being taken seriously enough. What the substance was, no one is exactly sure, but it did contain methadone and hydrocone, but neither would give the symptoms experienced. So there must have been a little extra surprise in there, fresh from Zhuming. Zhuming Lee was arrested, charged with possession of a controlled substance, battery, and aggravated stalking, and to all of those he pleaded not guilty. He was later deported back to China, so it's unlikely there will be any further action in this case, but yet again we have a case of a man injecting mysterious substances into people who were just in his way, bothering him, just wanted to get rid of. Both of these guys would be, I guess, described as pretty intelligent. One was a doctor, the other studying his PhD to become a doctor, but both ultimately were pretty stupid, as the plan was dumb and they were caught real quick.
News on Facebook when I was like, oh my god, that's my doctor. And I literally only saw him on the Thursday, and then that all come out on the Monday, and I just couldn't believe that he would actually do that to a family member.
Wow, that really doesn't look at him at all.
So he
only by the eyes is only how I can recognise him. The rest of him doesn't look at him at all.
And how does it feel to know that that's your doctor?
Yeah, absolutely terrifying.
In late 2024, Thomas Kwan pleaded guilty to attempted murder, and for that, he was sentenced to 31 years in prison. He will have to serve a minimum of 20 before he can be considered for parole, which means that by the time he can be released, at the very earliest, he will be in his mid-70s.
Okay, I can get with that. By the time he will be released, he'll be in his mid-70s. I'm good with that. I'm good with it. But I'm just saying, you could have just threw an extra 10 years on there. More than likely, his ass would have died in there. You know what I'm saying? It would have increased the chances. But I'll take what they can give us, Bean Team, especially for an attempted murder charge. Because how many freaking cases have we heard of people actually being found guilty of murder and they get fucking 20 years and be out before they 50? Let's go.
Thomas Kwan went to highly unusual lengths in his attempts to kill his mother's partner while avoiding detection. Over several months, he obsessively planned a way of gaining access to his victim, which involved the use of counterfeit documents, a shell company, and elaborate disguises to obscure the potentially lethal role he was to play in these events. While the attempt on the victim's life was thankfully unsuccessful, the effects were still catastrophic.
And Sinead, that, my friends, is the story of Thomas Kwan, a man who felt betrayed by his parents, his mother, and would do anything. And I mean anything. And when I say I mean anything, I mean literally the dumbest shit imaginable to remove those obstacles in his way to... Jenny and Patrick, they would later split. I mean, I guess it's not easy to stay with somebody whose son tried to murder you with flesh-eating bacteria. And I'm presuming she wrote Thomas out of her will, or at least I'm hoping that she had the foresight to do that, because how this costume worked on not only her, but her partner is insane and some of the stupidest shit I'll ever hear. It's unbelievable. Almost as unbelievable as this entire plot was dumb.
Facts. Big facts.
thank you so much for watching. It really means the absolute world to me that you're here watching this whole video. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. I hope you get, something from Santa or, whatever. Or just hope have a good time. Spend it with doing whatever you want to do or with people that mean a lot to you. You guys make my year and my Christmas every year just by being here, watching these little videos and supporting the love. It's always been amazing. So I'll never be able to thank each and every one of you enough. So I'll just say thank you again. Thank you. As always, you can check out the That Chapter Patreon, where for $2 a month you get early access to every single video, and also there's a playlist of Patreon exclusive videos. You can check out the merch down below, or you can check out the That Chapter podcast, which has a brand new podcast exclusive episode every single Monday morning. But until the next one, which will be up, I don't know, at least every Tuesday, please take care of each other. Please take care of yourselves. Because I love you. Mike out.
Hey man, Mike said some big freaking facts at the end of this one, Bean Team. Like, it's stupid on both ways. It's stupid at the fact that the mama did not realize, let alone Patrick, like I said, did not realize that was her freaking son, all because he had a fake mustache and a fucking wig on. It wasn't a wig. What's the male version of the wig? Is it called a bonnet? What is it called? It's called something else, man. I can't even think of the name, Bean Team. But y'all know what I'm talking about, man. But is it a touche? It's something, man. But it's crazy on that end, right? But it's also crazy that he would think that this whole plan that he came up with would work. He thought he was being smart doing this. Like, dude, this fucking plan dumb as hell, man. Like, what the freak? And it's crazy, man, that, like I said, he got away with it as far as his mama. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you don't realize that you caught on camera all these different places. Like, these police, these investigators literally can track your every freaking move from where you to been. You got history of demanding this money from your mama. You're already a doctor, you know what I'm saying? Now you fake playing another doctor, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just was such a stupid plan. But I'm glad he was stupid and got caught, Bean Team. And I'm also glad that what his name was, Patrick. I think that was the mama boyfriend named Patrick. I'm glad that he ended up surviving, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad he ended up surviving it. And I'll take the 20. He got 30 years or whatever, but I think Mike said he won't be eligible for parole for at least 20 years, which means he'll be potentially released at the earliest in his 70s. I'm good with that. I'm good with that also. But it was just a crazy story, y'all, and it was a great story, and it was great to hear it from Mike's perspective, because I promise y'all, still to right now, I don't remember what channel we watched this story from, man. We watched so many of these freaking stories, but like I said, it's great to hear it from Mike's narration. He did a great job, and he also showed some video clips and gave some new details that I didn't even know before, you know what I'm saying? So great job from Mike, and I digress. I'm gonna go let y'all go, Bean Team. I appreciate y'all coming on back as always. And if you have time tomorrow on Christmas, come on back to the channel, because like I said, I'm gonna watch some Christmas horror sort films with y'all. And until then, my friends, make sure that y'all hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.